everyone, and happy Tuesday. I want to say that Tuesday is one of my favorite days of the week. Why is that? Because we have the GODSU Tuesday Icon Talk, where we get to feature fabulous leaders, entrepreneurs, subject matter experts. And today we're focusing on the women. So last week we focused on the men of GODSU unlocking legacy successfully, or as we like to call them, moguls. And this week we'll be focusing on the women of power. Woo, there it is, as our chancellor loves to say. So with that being said, I'd love to lead us in prayer. And then I'd like to have Dr. Cai Randolph on the line. I'm going to share something about this delightful woman of power before we get started. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for waking us up this morning. Thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. We could have been anywhere in the world, but we're here right now under the power of my voice. And we are just so excited, elated to have two women of power, two leaders who are willing to dedicate some time to share with us their rules and their knowledge for success. So please let our ears be open. May our hearts be full and ready to receive even more information and compassion from these women. In your name we pray, God. Amen. Amen. You know what? I see Dr. Cheryl Wood on the line. Let's switch it up a little bit. Why don't we start with Dr. Cheryl Wood? I have to say that Dr. Cheryl Wood is a wonderful entrepreneur. She is a woman of God, a spiritual leader, and I'm just so excited to have her on the line. But before I have her speak, I'd love to properly introduce her. Dr. Cheryl Wood is an international empowerment speaker, leadership expert, best-selling author, as well as advocate for the economic empowerment of women globally through entrepreneurship. Her company, Personal Power Enterprises, LLC, is committed to equipping women with the tools to use their unique gifts to transform the lives of others, build a legacy, and create generational wealth. Wood has shared her message advocating for women to boldly face their fears, take big risks, and raise the bar on their own expectations in over 30 domestic states and abroad as far as South Africa, India, the United Kingdom, France, and the Bahamas. Her transformative work has been featured on ABC, Radio 1, Forbes magazine, Huffington Post, Essence, Black Enterprise, The Washington Informer, Good Morning Washington, Fox 5 News, The Baltimore Times, and the Afro-American newspaper, amongst many other media outlets. Wood's work has equally impacted private, corporate, and nonprofit sectors as she's delivered riveting keynote presentations and training sessions for both small and large organizations, including the Federal Bureau of Investigations, FBI, United States Department of Defense. I mean, the list goes on. The United Nations, Verizon, federally employed women, Blacks in government, the Congressional Black Caucus. I have to say, Dr. Wood, we have that in common. I actually recently moderated a panel at the Congressional Black Caucus, and I have to say that it is just so powerful being surrounded by so many wonderful Black leaders in government, leaders in entrepreneurship, leaders within their various sectors. And so I could just go on and on about you, but you know what, Dr. Wood, I'd love to just have you greet everyone on the line. Dr. Wood, are you there?
I am here. Thank you so much for having me.
It is indeed a pleasure and an honor. I mean, the way in which you give back to women, being a woman of power, you help your fellow women. And I'd love for you to speak on some of the initiatives that you have, including your aim for global entrepreneurship for women worldwide. But first, I really want to ask you, how has your journey led you to become a woman of power?
Yes, that's such a loaded question. So I'll say from my perspective, a woman of power refuses to sit on her God-given gift. And she absolutely refuses to leave everything that God has given her wrapped up and unused in the world. Instead, she's very intentional and she's very tenacious in using her gift to impact her own life, but also has led me to become a woman of power because I set the intention, and I do this every single day that I wake up and I have life and breath in my body. I set an intention that I will always use what God has given me, which has resulted in me very intentionally and strategically taking big risks that scare me but grow me. It's resulted in me pursuing my purpose even when it seems at times unrealistic or even impossible. It has resulted in me chasing my big dreams, knowing that even if I don't have every qualification on the list, that I'm still called to do that thing. And it's probably raised bar on my own expectations of what I'm going to achieve in my life that becomes really a reflection of what God has given me. So the journey for me is just, it's intentional and strategically using everything God has given me so that I leave this place empty.
Amen. And that is really what a servant leader is all about, in terms of being able to give everything that you were given and to make sure that you're leaving a legacy and imparting that knowledge among other people, you know, the newer generations, the upcoming generations. And one thing that I love speaking to other women about is recognizing the fact, as you said, that sometimes we feel as though we're not worthy of accomplishing a certain task. Maybe we don't have all the qualifications. Maybe out of 10, we have 7 or we have 8. But studies show that women oftentimes, we hesitate to go for those goals, those reach opportunities. And instead we say, you know what, let me go for something that in which we have 10 out of 10. But when it comes to you, Dr. Wood, and you having to look past that and say, you know what, I have the potential to make it happen. What is a story or an experience that you've had where you said, wait a second, I didn't have all the qualifications, but I went for it anyway, and it ended up serving me well? Can you share a story or a testament of that?
Yeah, I would say that's the journey of me becoming an international speaker. I grew up in poverty in a housing project in Baltimore, Maryland. And I mean, for most of my childhood, all of my childhood life, even to my young adult life, I've never seen outside of Baltimore. I never seen beyond Baltimore. And I felt so much scarcity in that, growing up in that environment, that I just questioned whether or not I was good enough to be on stage speaking to anybody. Like, what did I really have to say that would be of value to someone else? So for a long time, I diminished my story and I diminished my value. And what I had to do, just from the very moment I was invited to take the stage, was really to just say, with all of the list of qualifications, I've been called to do this, and if God is opening the door, then that means I'm intended to walk through the door. But I have to give him something to work with. So that means when he opens the door, I have to show up, and I have to put myself on the back burner and say, this is not about me, it's about someone else, it's for someone else. And so really just getting out of my own the head traffic sometimes we have when we keep ourselves hostage to, and just confirming that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. This opportunity is presenting itself to me. I'm going to walk through the door, and I'm going to see where it leads me. And every time I say yes, despite whether I have the qualifications or not, every time I say yes because I know I've been called, it always results in something greater manifesting what I have anticipated. So that's just been my overall journey since I stepped into entrepreneurship in 2009, and then to have other people to be impacted by that, because my goal is inspire someone else to be bold. My courage will in turn inspire someone else to be courage. So again, it's about us, but it really comes for someone else. So every step that I take, I have taken and continue to take along the way has really been that story of not only having a list of qualifications, but knowing that if the door is presented to me, I've been called to do it, and God, he will qualify me to walk through that door.
Excellently said. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it is so true. You know, we talk about the importance of experience, and as an institution that loves to acknowledge servant leaders who are subject matter experts within their fields, their respective fields, it's important to have those experiences. But at the end of the day, put aside that experience and those levels of expertise. Think about it as a human connection, you know. And oftentimes when I'm speaking to people, I'm not speaking to them, you know, as Her Excellency Cairo Eubanks and the background that I have. I'm speaking to them as one human to another, connecting to them, being able to have those shared experiences of possibly challenges, but also overcoming it and telling them that, you know, if I can do it, who says that you can't do it? And you have to realize that within yourself, that you have the potential to do something that is absolutely phenomenal. So I love what you said in terms of making sure that you're saying yes, and you're saying, I'm willing to take that challenge. I'm not afraid to step out of my comfort zone. I'm not afraid to do something new, but instead I'm going to take every challenge that I get. And I'm sure that when you went to these various countries such as South Africa and India, that those were experiences for you as well, going to another country and seeing different cultures and whatnot. And I wanted to ask you, in terms of the experiences that you had when you were in South Africa and India, what was one guiding principle that you may have used to empower women, both domestically as well as internationally, as a empowerment speaker and leadership expert? What's one thing that you found yourself really being able to share? You say, you know what, I think every woman should know this. What is that principle? Can you share that with us tonight?
Yeah, for me, there is a principle and a quote that I live by, and it says, comparison is the thief of all joy. And I know that God wants all of us to have joy in our lives. And so often as women, we throw away valuable time comparing ourselves to what someone else has, or what they're doing, or what they're accomplishing, or how educated they are, how many letters they have behind their name, instead of just standing powerfully in what we've been given and really focusing more on what we have than what we're lacking. And I find that it doesn't matter where I travel in the world, that is a common thread among women, is that we're always devaluing what we've been given and comparing it to someone else. But I know that God has something intended for every single one of us, and that there is a segment of the population that's waiting to hear your voice, waiting to hear your story, waiting to be inspired by what you're doing and what you're accomplishing. And so when you really remove yourself from that equation of comparing, you're able to accomplish so much more. So for me, it's three parts. I always tell every woman I meet, do not throw away valuable time comparing, competing, or coveting what God has blessed another person with. Stay laser focused on the doors He's opening for you, so that you can show up as the greatest version of you when you're in that space serving each other, serving other people. So don't compare, don't compete, don't covet. Just stay focused on what God has for you.
I think that is a wonderful principle to share, Dr. Wood, and it really reminds me, you know, I don't get jealous of other women, of the skill sets that they have, or, you know, the resources that they have, the intelligence that they have. I don't get jealous. Instead, what I say is, you know what? I want to make sure that I have people surrounding me who have that sort of energy that I can be able to, you know, learn from and to grow from as well. I'm not going to take this as, you know, oh, you know, where does she get that? And is her hair real? It's not about that. It's not about that at all. Instead, it's more so just making sure that you are surrounded by like-minded individuals who will keep you accountable, who will challenge you intellectually, spiritually, mentally, right? And make sure that you are being the best that you can be, because, you know, they always say that you're the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with, right? So instead of comparing myself to someone who has strengths in an area in which I would like to improve upon, you know what, I'm going to spend some time with them. I want to learn from them, and perhaps we can be able to learn from each other. So as we're closing, I have one final question for you. Before I ask you, if you can please share information on how our listeners can best be able to reach you. But before I do that, I want to ask you, what are you most looking forward to? What are you most excited about when it comes to your upcoming graduation at W.O.P Seminary and University?
Oh my goodness! I can just pray for a long, so excited. I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm just looking forward to that moment where it's, you know, official. I was officially Dr. Cheryl Wood, and just stopping for a moment in gratitude and looking up to God, just to say, well, look what you have done. Look what you have done in me, for me, and through me, and will continue to do through me, because I'm going to continue to be used as a vessel. So I think just being in a moment of gratitude for how far He's brought me and what us and for us and through us just is going to be phenomenal. And then I think secondarily, just standing there aligned with so many other just amazing servant leaders, the other graduates who are also going to recognize where their work in the world and how they're serving. And I know that I'm sharpening iron. So I know it's going to be an amazing experience of just great sharpening on that day. And I'm just totally looking forward to it.
Well, Dr. Wood, you absolutely deserve it. You've earned it. You've earned it with your experiences, with your life's work, and the fact that you have built a $1 million empire, and you're just continuously growing and expanding that. And it's not just about you, but instead you say, how can I impart value into other people's lives? And you're making sure to empower women globally. So, I mean, this is something that you have absolutely earned, and just walk into that lane, walk into your journey. And I just want to ask you in closing, if you could please share ways in which our listeners to learn more about your business, get in touch with you as a phenomenal coach, a speaker, an expert. If you could please give that information.
Absolutely. So I can be found online at CherylEmpowers.com, and on all platforms, my handle is Cheryl Empowers. So LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you can find me at Cheryl Empowers, and I would love to connect.
Fantastic. And then for all of our listeners, that is CHERYL, Empowers with an S. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Perfect. I want to make sure that everyone can be able to reach you. Thank you so much for just giving your time, sharing just 15 minutes. I know that you'll be on a panel actually for GODSU. You'll be teaching people how to be able to sell their products, sell their books when they are at conferences, and just to make sure that they are really marketing themselves effectively. And so I'm excited about that. Just know that Dr. Wood, I'll be taking some notes on that as well. I'll be in the back of the room taking notes because I want to learn from you. So thank you so much for your time and just sharing with us today.
Thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. And next we have on the line Dr. Cai Randolph. Dr. Cai Randolph is the founder, CEO, and owner of Caisma LLC, a transformational health and life coach, corporate workshop facilitator, speaker, TV and radio host. Coach Cai hosts the Dropping the Knowledge with Cai Randolph on Blog Talk Radio. She's earned her Bachelor of Science in Nursing from Howard University, Master of Science in Business Administration, a certificate in Executive Leadership, and has studied under a number of amazing teachers in the field of health and life coaching for her certification. Cai began her career in nursing at the Georgetown University Hospital, Lombardi Comprehensive Care Cancer Center in Washington, D.C. It was there that Cai found her passion for caring for the whole individual. She found that serving those in the community with compassion and full range of supportive care services to improve our patients' health and quality of life was her passion. As Cai diversified her experiences, she found that her interest in mental health broadened, and she sought opportunities with other institutions. Cai began working at Johns Hopkins Hospital in the Division of Geriatric Psychiatry and Neuropsychiatry, providing inpatient, day hospital, and outpatient care. There she cared for those suffering from psychiatric disorders, depression, bipolar disorder, substance abuse, and schizophrenia, as well as diseases of the brain such as strokes, Alzheimer's disease, and multiple sclerosis that have accompanying disorders of mood, behavior, or thought content. Cai Randolph has co-authored Love, Money, Power, and authored Green Tea and Donuts, 6 Simple Steps for Living Your Best Life, and a new release, Total Me, and an unapologetic embrace of boss life femininity. Because Cai believes in and lectures on philanthropic responsibilities, Cai gives back to the community by walking such events as the Breast Cancer Awareness, Suicide Prevention Awareness Campaign, St. Jude's Children's Research Fundraising, and volunteers at local soup kitchens. Oh my goodness, Dr. Randolph, you just do it all. Are you on the line?
Yes, and every time I hear that, I think you are lazy.
You know what I will say, Dr. Randolph, is that I've noticed that as a woman, it is so easy to want to be overly humble and forget some of the accomplishments that we've had. And one thing that I always say is that there is a difference between having humility, being humble, and having self-deprecation. And so we want to make sure that we are staying humble. You stay humble. I just brag and edify you for you. How does that sound?
Thank you so much for that.
You're absolutely welcome. And so the first question I have for you, I want to ask you the same first question that I asked Dr. Wood, because I'm interested to hear your answer. Everyone's answer is completely different. How has your life's journey prepared you to be considered a woman of power?
Oh, wow. I need to step back for a second and tell you, to be very honest, to me, lots of compassion, softness, and good-heartedness actually brought me to this place, right? It forced me into places where I had to be better, I had to be more confident, I had to be happier than I've ever been, right? And a lot of times people don't recognize that, taking a certain walk in that capacity, right, teaches you a lot about yourself. It teaches you a lot about the world. And so, if I had to reach back and to look over my life, those are the things that have brought me here.
And one thing that I really like about you, Dr. Randolph, is that you are all about balance. And your book, Green Tea and Donuts, I remember speaking to you about this from a while back, where you had discussed to me the meaning of this book. And I want you to share with everyone, what does that title mean, Green Tea and Donuts, as well as how do you define work and life balance, and how does a woman such as yourself achieve such a balance?
Oh my goodness. So Green Tea and Donuts came out of a place where I had struggled in relationships, right? And I tell you, every aspect of every relationship that I've ever had, there's been some type of struggle. Growing up, you hear your parents say, girls should go to school, girls should get married, girls should go to college, right? And then, you have your children. And so those are the steps that I actually took based on what my parents desired of me. And so I got to a place in life where I was like, okay, well, I followed all the rules, and things haven't absolutely worked out the way that I thought they would for me. And so I had to step back and kind of look at, well, Carly, when are you going to have fun? When are you going to take a moment to just think about self, right? How confident are you? How self-aware are you? What kind of self-love do you have, right? And those things I kind of lost along the way, right? And I should also say that somewhere along the line I got a divorce. And just life just started changing for me. Then I sat down and I thought, okay, well, it's time to think about all the mentoring and coaching experiences that I've had with clients, and think about what my life really looks like, right? I couldn't coach a woman to a healthy place, a prosperous place, if I had not had experiences to say, I know these things can get you there. And so Green Tea and Donuts is really about having both the structure of life, all that comes with it. And, God doesn't mean for us to live a structured life with rules without also enjoying that. He doesn't say you should love life. He doesn't say you should go without passion and laughter. And so, the book really talks about how you get yourself to a place where you now can redesign yourself in some instances and redirect how you look at life, right? Most people walk through life saying, oh, poor me, I'm a victim. All of a sudden, 30s, I realized, things aren't so bad. Things could be really worse. And so start looking at it in that perspective. And so Reiki and I definitely ask the reader to step back and look at their life in a very different way, looking at it through the eyes of positivity.
And one thing that I always say is that when you are optimistic, when you have a positive perspective, you view a challenge that you've confronted, and you think of possible solutions to be able to overcome that, to achieve your goal, or to be able to overcome that hurdle. But when all you have is negativity, when you only have a pessimistic point of view, all you can see is that problem. And guess what? You won't be able to get out of that tunnel to see the light if you aren't able to really view that, or if you don't have the tools or the resources to be able to really make that connection, right? And so it's so true. I mean, there have been times in my life in the past where I thought to myself, I was working so hard and I was too busy focused on the next goal that I didn't stop to thank God and take a time to say, wait a second, congratulations, Cairo, you actually achieved what you wanted to have a few years back. Years ago, you were praying for this to happen. And guess what? Now you're complaining about it, and you have to really change that. You have to change that mindset, and instead be able to embrace what you have done so far, because guess what? We have all accomplished something in which we are proud of. I can't think of one person who hasn't done one thing, at least one thing. Even graduating kindergarten, guess what? Congratulations, Some people don't make it that far. So you have to think of it that way and realize that there are so many wonderful things that you are accomplishing in your life. And, I want to really turn that over to you, Dr. Randolph, and ask you about, one accomplishment that you have that you are most proud of, as well as what would you like to say that your legacy will be? What do you want your legacy to be? What are you working towards?
So I can't think of one thing that I'm absolutely proud of. I think every time I get to a milestone, I celebrate, and I'm super happy about getting to those milestones. But let's face it, at 54 years old, there are a lot of people who have not made it to where I am, right? They have to have somebody. So I celebrate everything. I know it sounds funny. So to say I'm most proud of something in particular, oh my goodness, Kara, you're asking me to forget about the moment. So let's put it out there. I am a survivor of domestic violence. I'm not only surviving from domestic violence, I am thriving. I am a cancer survivor. I was diagnosed a number of years ago with stage 4 cancer. I wasn't expected to go back 6 months. However, I sat down and I had my conversation with the Father above, right? And I knew that I needed to eat differently. I needed to view the world differently. I needed to do a lot of things differently. So I survived. I'm here today. That was 2009. 2018.
10 years.
I survived. Yes. I survived a lot of things, Kyle. And so I think that, having the mindset to remember that there's a great price to pain and sacrifices. Other times, you can show it to others and help their walk be so much easier. So that is what I want people to remember me by. And they don't have to remember my name. They can say, that lady, that one that believes in me not only surviving but thriving. Yeah, that's what I would like to see.
Ooh. I would say that I can understand exactly what you mean in terms of not being able to just pick one accomplishment, because you just listed several. And so I applaud power for the accomplishments that you have overcome, some of the challenges that you have experienced, and you're able to share your story. So as we close, because we end at 9 o'clock, we're going to transition over to our chancellor, Dr. Diane. for her words as we prepare for the December graduation. But I just want to ask you, Dr. Randolph, for those who resonated with your story and want to get in touch with you, want to learn more about your book, Green Tea and Donuts, Love, Money, and Power, all of the work that you're doing, how can they get in touch with you?
Absolutely. They can reach me on Facebook at I am Coach Cai. Also on Instagram at I am Coach Cai. Also, they can reach me on my website, www.coachcai.com.
Wonderful. And for those who are listening, that's Cai, C-A-I, Cai. And thank you so much, Coach Cai. Thank you for you just sharing your story with us today. I mean, I feel inspired. I feel energized. I'm about to transition off this call, and I'm about to go do some jumping jacks. I feel so much energy. I'm just full of it. So thank you so much. And I just want to say, for all of those who are on the line, please stay on the line. For those who are on the conference call line, as we transition over to our chancellor, Dr. Diane, I want to say that my name is Cairo. Cairo speaks, Cairo writes, and it's my joy to be able to cultivate confidence through public speaking and writing, and also just getting to edify others through words. So with that being said, we're going to transition over to Dr. Diane. We're going to close off the Facebook Lives, but for those on the line, don't go anywhere. We're still going to continue. All right, have a great day for those on Facebook Live, and we'll see you tomorrow bright and early for the GODSU Success Teach and Pray call, Monday through Friday, 7:45 to 8:05 a.m. God bless.